today I'll be cooking with you something that we all know about and we've probably all eaten, but it has a very mysterious past. It is the Sloppy Joe. And the Sloppy Joe, people claim that it came from little bars and pubs in either Cuba or the Florida Keys, and it was made big by the likes of literary giants like Ernest Hemingway and Graham Greene and British actors like Errol Flynn. And then here close to us in Iowa, they claim that the loose meat sandwich was the originator of the Sloppy Joe. Either way, they both happened in the 1930s, and then a few decades later, Manwich came out with a Sloppy Joe mix that you could put in a can, and people were making it in the 1960s all throughout their house, and it became a staple of the school lunch across the country. I remember eating Sloppy Joes when I was a kid, and they weren't my favorite. But I've got a recipe here that will make Sloppy Joes amazing. So join me as we make some Sloppy Joes at the GeikMasterFLEX kitchen. All right, everybody, I'm gonna start the cooking process right here, and I'm gonna start right now with 4 teaspoons of vegetable oil, and I am going to put them in my cast iron pan that has been heating up on medium heat to get it all good and hot. Okay, I love cooking with cast iron. And then right here, I've got my little friend. He's actually the star of this Sloppy Joe recipe. It's baking soda. So I'm gonna put a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda on my finely chopped onion. And then I will add the onion right here to the pan. And I will cook this now for 3 to 4 minutes before I do anything else. Quickly here, I've got 4 cloves of garlic minced. I've got a mixture of spices, sugar, and salt, and I've got tomato paste. And these are all going to go in at different times, but we're going to start here with the garlic, and I am going to bloom the garlic. That's what it's called. It's called blooming the garlic. I'm going to mix it in with the oil that I had in earlier cooking the onion, and I'm going to cook this for about 30 seconds, only about 30 seconds, until it gets fragrant, okay? And if you were here with me, you would tell that it smells like garlic. Yeah, right, Sarah? Mm. Yeah, that's my wife. She can attest. It smells garlicky. Now, here I have a mixture of brown sugar, paprika, crushed red pepper, and salt. And I'm going to put this in, and I am going to cook this not for too long, but I want to get it mixed in, and I want to get it mixed in with this onion and its juices that it's been releasing, and let the paprika bloom. Paprika is the national spice of the country of Hungary. I bet you didn't know that. Maybe, some people might have, I don't know. But here you can see it is got this nice brown color to it, and now I'm gonna add 4 ounces of tomato paste. Okay, so here we go, plopping it right in there. Now I am gonna cook this tomato paste in with the onion and the garlic and the spices until it looks like rust. It gets a nice rust color, okay? And this should take a few minutes. I've got 2 pounds of 85/15 ground beef, and it has been marinating in some water and baking soda and a little bit of salt. And so that baking soda is going to make it so it keeps onto the moisture a little bit longer. And so I'm using this lower grease, lower fat content ground beef for this, so that the final product isn't as greasy. Now over here I've got my tomato paste mixture with onions ready to go, and I'm going to cook this meat for about 5 minutes or until it loses its pink, and I'm going to mix it all together, and then I'll get the next step in here. So here we go. Get this in, get it going. So we'll cook this down for about 5 or more minutes until it's no longer pink. All right, everybody, the meat is cooking, and I want to get the sloppy joes to have that nice texture, not really big chunks of meat. So I'm going to actually use a potato masher as it still continues to cook here. And as you guys can hear, maybe, it seems kind of angry, but what it's doing is it is making it a much more finer texture that I can easily spoon onto some buns. The meat has been cooking, and here I am going to add the sauce that gives it its sloppy joe sloppiness. It is 2/3 cup of ketchup. It is 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, or Worcester sauce, or watch your sister sauce, whatever you want to call it, and 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. And so I'm going to add it over here to the meat that has been cooking. It just plopped in. I'll take my favorite spoonula and help mix it in, and it'll help me get everything out of that as well. And then so I'll mix this in just like that, get it all good and incorporated. Ooh, how does that look? Does that look like a sloppy joe? That looks like a sloppy joe if I've ever seen a sloppy joe. And it's going to taste way better than any sloppy joe ever served in any school lunchroom, and it's going to be way better than any sloppy joe ever served out of a can of manwich. All right, one last thing to cook. I have 2 tablespoons of water and a teaspoon of cornstarch in here. This is a thickening agent, and I've got to mix it because it doesn't play well. It doesn't form with the water very well. So I'm going to add this in just like this. And then I'm going to continue to cook this for a little over a minute or so, and it'll be done. The only thing left to do is maybe add a little bit of salt, maybe add a little bit of brown sugar, maybe a little bit of that red wine vinegar in the ingredients list, just to taste however you like it. And then all that's left is spooning it onto a hamburger bun and adding a couple pickle slices or pickles, and that's it, everybody. I've got my sloppy joe right here. Now I'm gonna say this is not going to win any awards in some fancy French restaurant, but I got my sloppy joe. I've got 3 slices of pickle, and I got a sesame seed bun, and I shall eat it. Hopefully it's not too sloppy. It's very good, very soft. The meat isn't dry, and especially when you start to take ground beef and pebble it down that far, it'll get dry. And being that it's 85-15, there's not a lot of fat content in it, and so that baking soda really kept the moisture in, and this is delicious. Everybody should try this. It's pretty easy to make, and I hope you decide to give it a try yourself at home. Thanks for watching. GeikMaster Cooks, the Sloppy Joe.